Trish Holt was about 6 years old when her father happily announced 2 things. She'd got a new baby brother, and she'd finally become an American citizen. More specifically, she was now an official member of the Holt family. Her new name, Trish, would be permanent, forever. And for the rest of her life, she would be reminded how grateful she should be for the privileged life other Korean orphans could only hope for. It was all chance, he said, and she was so fortunate to have been given one. The weight of those announcements didn't make Trish any different from the usual quiet child she had come to be. It turned her into quite the opposite. She'd become even more isolated, closed. The declaration that she was somehow different made it difficult in this harborside town along the New England coast. It was something out of her hands. As a child of 6, she'd come to understand that being different wasn't necessarily a good thing, and when you don't want to fight anyone, you simply join them. And she'd tried to blend in without highlighting her differences. She just wanted to fit in. The problem was, if you have blonde-haired parents with translucent skin and blue eyes, while you have small, winged eyes, dark hair, and yellow skin, you already stand out. And she didn't know real parents and kids had matching hair and eyes until a classmate in school told her so. That's when she knew she was different. She never felt the distinction at home, but she knew some of it had started when her mother had gone to the hospital. When she woke up beside her mother that day, her mother kissed her and shrieked on seeing the river of red on the sheet. It was a scream she'd never forget in her life. As soon as her father heard, he dashed into the room and called the doctor on the phone. Trish was quite alarmed at the panic in their 6-bedroom brick home. She sat in the blood-soaked bed in her pajamas, with her hands covering her ears as her mother's breathing quickened. She watched her father rush down the stairs so fast she could hear the air whip past. "Get your slippers and your favorite dress. Hurry." Her father's usual calm evaporated, and his face turned white. "What's going on? Is Mommy going to die?" Her father's face snapped to her, his eyes so round and forbidding that she was afraid he would slap her like some of the caretakers did at the orphanage. "Do not ever say something like that ever again. I'm taking your mommy to the hospital." "I'm going too?" "No, you'll have to stay with Mrs. Simpson." "Can't I go to Uncle Ben's house?" "Not now, Trish. Hurry up with your things." "No, don't bother. You can change at Mrs. Simpson's place." "Geez, look at you." Trish didn't know what to make of this, but in her childlike mind, she thought her father hated her at that moment. Somehow her mother climbed into the back of the car, her legs all bloody and wet. Her father walked her off to the neighbor's home. Before she could even turn, her father was already in the car seat, and without as much as a backward glance, the car screeched down the road. Mrs. Simpson's home was very old, just like her. The woman barely smiled when she told Trish to sit in the corner like a good girl and not move at all. Trish didn't want to move either because the house had that strange, old people smell. There was a funny-looking bronze horn in the corner. From that horn emerged music, notes rising and falling. It was a magical sound. So Trish craned her neck a little, but the music didn't come from there. Trish slid off the old worn-out paisley couch and drifted in search of it, until she reached a door that was slightly ajar. Mrs. Simpson sat at a giant piano, and the music came from her fingers. Beautiful melodies that made all the panic disappear. It gave her a feeling she couldn't explain. Trish smiled. She'd never heard such music before. Every note made her feel alive and free. Mrs. Simpson suddenly stopped. "I thought I told you to stay put," she said in a stern voice. But it's nothing like I've ever heard," Trish said and pushed the door open. She saw the whole piano, and her eyes widened like an owl. The black shine of the piece and the sounds that came from it amazed her. "Did it really come from here?" she asked with wonder in her voice, awed by the instrument.